Is that usually a review of past conferences and like measurable deliverables, or what has been done or what has been achieved through past conferences? Do you have that kind of mechanism in the World Economic Forum?
Yes, there are. Of course, one of the fallouts of World Economic Forum is that we don't know whether it will happen this time, but new initiatives, new development and economic initiatives always spring up from the World Economic Forum, and this one is not going to be different. So at any point in time, we see, and that is why we have regional meetings, not only in Africa, we have it in the Middle East, we have it in Latin America, where they have the regional forum to see some of this initiative. Of course, the fund for AIDS and the fight for AIDS, it is measurable. Review it and see how far have we fed. The Grow Africa through agricultural transformation, which is championed in Ethiopia. Of course, these are all measurable, and we see how Ethiopia have been leveraging on agriculture to get to where they are today. So there is always a measurable. Of course, there is no need gathering everybody in the world to come and take coffee if you are not going to track and measure decisions taken.
Okay, I mean, after they took the coffee, part of what was discussed at that time was they talked about, yes, agriculture, but access to credit.
Exactly.
I mean, we do know that some of these policies, it will take time before they come to fruition, but access to credit. And then they talked about the legal perspective as well, which has got to do with the Land Use Act. So, in terms of the review and progress report, what might be said? Have you heard anything about improving on these two aspects?
For Nigeria or for
Nigeria, because it was talked about in that NESG about agriculture, how they're going to access funds, and then do something about the Land Use Act so people can access farmlands.
Yeah, NESG held, I think, in August. That is like less than 6 months from now, and I think 6 months is rather too short to measure changes in legislature, especially in our own jurisdiction. I think we should give a timeline of not less than 1 year to be able to track changes. 5 months for me is too short.
Because if we're going to talk about agriculture again at the WEF Africa, this kind of matters will come up again.
Of course. We've seen in Nigeria where some states, of course, we say that state governments are the owners of land. That is an anomaly. And we've seen a situation where some state governments for 4 years issued less than 20 CFOs. These are challenges, and we see that if we're going to unlock opportunities in agriculture, there should be access to credit. And the good news is that the central bank, through the leadership, have been innovating different forms of sectoral intervention. That is fund intervention. We've seen that in manufacturing. We've seen that in agri, and we've also seen that in SME. I think about 220 billion was launched sometimes in middle of 2013 to intervention in small and medium enterprises. So I think that two things must happen. They must the sticky situation in land ownership have to be unlocked. Infrastructure should be provided. It should be all inclusive. And the NESG meeting in 2013 articulated all of this, and I'm sure that the president and all the agencies and private sector are charged with making sure that the decision taken in that meeting is
sometimes one wonders if this has to do with stability in the country, because if you go back in time, in 1999, the per capita income when we got into our present democracy was $700 US, but today it has grown to about $2,600. That's a huge one for us as a people. So are we likely to hinge this on why it is finally coming to Nigeria, and what the people are likely to gain from this talk?
Well, it's part of it for the fact that Nigeria has been growing. As somebody said yesterday, if a country has been growing at 6-7% without electricity on generator, what will happen if this country have light? They will grow well above where the rate China have grown. So these are the potentials everybody...
That's a big point.
These are the potential that everybody in the world is looking at. That this country, they've got the population, they've got the resources, they've got the landmarks. What is holding... So all of these challenges, like provision of electricity, of course, we've seen reforms, privatization in the sector happen. Everybody wants to take part in unlocking the opportunities. And let me inform you that it's only in Nigeria you see a return, post-reform returns we're seeing. Look at the reform, the returns made by Nigerian banks after the consolidation. You know, everything improved. You don't see that anywhere in the world. Look at the type of return that followed the reform post telecom, IT telecom reform. These are good news that people are looking at, and they say that post reform of the power sector, a lot of things will happen, and everybody wants to be part of this good news.
All of those declarations that you talk about with respect to the banks and the growth of the real sector, the economy, I mean, how do you reconcile that? Because some have said, look, there's growth in that sector, and then you don't even have, what's the percentage of manufacturing firms you have in this country? So how do we connect those dots?
Again, this is what the Economic Forum on Africa will likely have to look at. Yesterday I was looking at some numbers, and we've seen that FDI, foreign direct investment, have really grown over the 10 years ago or so. It was less than $1 billion. We're looking at about 7-8 billion in 2013, 10 months to October in 2013 alone. Now, where is this FDI flowing into? That's the question. Most of the 85% or so, if I'm correct, flow into tradable equities and bonds, of course. Okay. Tradable equities and bonds in everybody. And whenever there is a macroeconomic shock, you see the people that have this fund fly away with it, and that is what we call hot money. About 6%, 6.9% only flow to long-term investment, either in infrastructure or some other investment. And that is the major disconnect, where you see profits and growth of bank improving, and the manufacturing sector and risk sector is not connected to it. When Nigeria come out during the African Economic Forum for Africa,
when is it holding? What month?
May. I think May 7 to May 9. Yeah, May is very near. When Nigeria tells their own story and tell it very well, we will be able to see people that will be encouraged to bring in this money, not as hot money to buy our shares on stock exchange and buy our money market instrument that is bond, but people that will want to invest it in agriculture, people that want to invest it in constructing roads through PPP arrangements and all of this. So moving our FDI flow from hot money to real money is a major issue that should be addressed.
Vincent Nwani, thank you for coming on. We'll have further discussions in days ahead.